Have you ever met people that look down on people because they don't have as much as they do? They talk about homeless people like they're nothing. Do you ever think of how people became homeless? It ain't always what you think. You always think, oh, well, they just didn't want to work. They just doing drugs or, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, I've lived in a homeless shelter for a while before. And the truth of the matter, there's a lot of women who are my age who got divorced. Bad things happened. They couldn't get on their feet, and they lost their homes. There's a lot of older men who they got sick. Older men and women who have gotten sick, and for some reason or another couldn't get well fast enough to save their home, to go back to work and save their home. Or all their funds ran out. There's a lot of people who have mental illness and their families turn away from them and don't want to help them because they just wipe their hands up. They're either too hard to deal with or the family just can't be bothered. So they push them out. And then they turn to drugs because they can't do any that. They're trying to get the mental illness to stop. They don't know what to do. They turn to drugs. They turn to alcohol to cope. And then they get worse and worse and worse. Sometimes they're alcoholics who just hit rock bottom and nobody's there for them, or they can't help themselves. Nobody really wants to be homeless. Most people don't want to be homeless. I don't want to say everybody, because some people, that's their way of life. But I'm going to say probably a good 80% of the people that are homeless, that is not their way of life. They found themselves in a predicament they couldn't get out of, and they fell down, and they have nobody to help them. And then you have people over there talking about them like they're nothing. I bet you most people don't even realize that probably 60% of the homeless people hold a job. They don't have a home because they can't afford the home, because the home is too costly, especially in some states like the one I'm in. And if you think that that can never happen to you, you better think again, baby. You better think again. If you judge somebody, good chance that is going to happen to you. Good chance. Now, I'm going to turn this... I want to talk about mental illness as well. When it comes to mental illness, people don't understand it. They don't get it. They think that everybody has control of their mind or control over the things they do because they have control. But sometimes there's an imbalance. Sometimes there's trauma that happened to cause it. There's many reasons for it. But people will dismiss their family completely. And even after they've healed, they don't understand. They don't try to understand. They just, well, you lost it. You were weird. You're crazy. Whatever. And they keep you in a lower stance than themselves. They want to remind you of when you weren't quite well. And if you had cancer and you got over it, they'd be like, oh, congratulations, you got over it. It's such a good thing. But if you had mental illness and you got over it, they'll never let you forget it. They will never let you overcome it. It will forever be in their memory. That's all they want to remember. I know this from experience. From experience. When I hit my rock bottom, when I was at a point in time in my life where I had no control over what I was doing or what was going on in my life because of mental illness. I had a mental breakdown, and it took me a long time to get over and come back from. At the time I was going through it, I was told it's all in your head. Don't do that. It's all in your head. Don't think. Don't, get over it. Get over yourself. You can't control it when it happens. When you have a nervous breakdown or whatever they want to call it, when you have this, people don't understand it, so they walk away from you. You're saying and doing things that you don't even remember later, and you didn't have any control of saying when it happened. But they will not forget it. They will not get over it. They will not understand it. And they will not give you another chance. They will always be ready to throw you under the bus because you had this nervous breakdown. But the truth of the matter is, it didn't happen overnight. It was caused from things that happened to you in life, whether it was something that happened in your childhood or something that drastically happened in your adulthood, or both and carried on. It was not something that just happened. It was something that came from a lot of things that you've never been able to deal with. And a lot of times when you're in a family with dysfunctions, they don't want to talk about what's going wrong because then they would have to look at themselves, and they don't like to look at themselves. The truth of the matter is, you can overcome mental illness. You can get help. You can get therapy. You can turn to God. I would suggest, most of all, turn to God, because God helped me through all of it. And that's why I'm here today. But the fact of the matter is, you're not a bad person because you had a mental breakdown. You're not. You're no less of a person because you had one. It happens. If the people that judging you had been through what you had been through, it had broke them too, and they may not have survived. You're a lot stronger than most people think you are. It takes a lot to come back from that. It takes a whole lot to come back from that. And when you come back from that, you are stronger than you've ever been, because you've dealt with your issues, and you've dealt with the things that happened to you, and you've dealt with yourself. You had to face yourself. You had to face the demons that were coming at you. You had to face it all. And the other people have never faced it. They're still brushing everything under the rug. They're still acting like nothing happened. They're still blaming you. So baby, if you're in that position, I'm going to tell you right now, you are strong, and God's got you. He ain't going to let you down. And don't you let anything that people talk about you about get to you. Don't. Because they don't know the new you. They don't know the person that God put back together. They don't know how strong you had to be to come back from what you went through. They haven't got a clue. If they had been in your shoes, they may not have made it back. I'm here to tell you, you are worthy. You are loved. God made you in His image. The fact that the world broke you for a short time, that's just a bump in the road. You're coming back stronger. You're coming back bigger. You're coming back more put together than you were when you had the breakdown, before you had the breakdown. A lot of times, the dysfunction in people's lives is because nobody ever wants to deal with it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to brush it under the rug, and everybody acts like it's all you, because they don't want to deal with the fact that it could have been them that had that breakdown. It could have been them. They think they're stronger because they didn't have a breakdown, but they never dealt with the things that come at them. They've never dealt with their trauma. They just take it out on people with mean and angry words and things to do to them. They just take it out on people because they've never healed themselves. Hurt people hurt people. That's why you heal. That's why you went through the healing process, so you wouldn't hurt nobody else. And don't you ever look down on yourself for that. You hold your head up high and say, I did it because I had God, and He never left my side. Hallelujah.